What is up, beautiful people? In today's episode, we're going to unpack and uncover all of the reasons you stop yourself in life. We're going to walk through the 3 types of reactions. And when I say reactions, I mean emotional reactions, the things that stop you from really getting the results you're looking for in your work, in your relationships, and in your life. These are the things that will always get in the way. When you're about to make a breakthrough, one of these 3 things is going to show up. So if you understand them, then you are aware enough to get over that hump. You are aware to stop yourself from running away, going back into the old pattern, and trying the old way you were doing it. Ultimately, and this is what I always say, the only way out is through. What I mean by that is the only way out of where you are in life is through the deep emotional wound. And what we're going to do in today's episode is walk you guys through, for lack of better words, a lesson. This is absolutely going to be an opportunity for you to break through in your life just by being aware of these situations. So if you are finding yourself stuck, if you're finding yourself in a place that you're just not getting results, this is absolutely the lesson for you. Before we get into today's podcast, you can probably hear in my voice, it was an incredible weekend for me. I hosted our Unbreakable Man Experience, which is a 3-day live event for men that come through a retreat center that we host at here in Austin, Texas. And it is hard to describe how incredible this event really is, because when I see the transformation, like literally on the faces of these men, I can see it in their eyes. I can see it in their speech. I can just see it in every element of their entire being is the best way to describe it. It is so incredible. I've already gotten an incredible amount of text messages from the guys just by getting back into their own life. To see them and to hear from them right away in an unsolicited way has been incredible. I'll just read you a couple of the text messages that we've gotten. Again, I apologize for my voice. We were getting after it in this 3-day event. So here's one text message that came through. He just said, "David, I want to thank you for being there for me throughout this entire weekend. You uncovered facets of myself where I might not have been present, moments where I truly felt defeated. And when I looked within, I knew that my essence of love never left. The work that you are providing on this planet defines the truest embodiment of what defines an unbreakable man. Much love to you, brother." That's just one of the, again, these are unsolicited, so I'm just reading them kind of off the top. This was actually from one of the women who was a wife of one of the guys that came through. It was so incredible to really actually hear from her firsthand, and I really enjoyed it. But I want to just read this to you. As she said, "Okay, seriously, thank you for the work you're doing. I know you're probably about to head into recovery mode for a couple days. Just had to share this. Yes, Ty, her husband, came home unbreakable, as she puts it, but it looks so much different than I expected. I expected more masculine, which is true in so many ways, but he is also happy," and she wrote that in all capitals. "So genuinely happy and so full of light and love. His physical body is different. I can see the change from this weekend. He is a different man. Thank you for what you do. I have so much love for you and the work you're doing." That was such an incredible message to receive from her, because obviously I do this work, but I know that when I'm getting messages from the wives of these guys coming through this event, I know that it's good. It's good work that we're doing at the Unbreakable Man Experience. If you are interested in really breaking through, if you know you're stuck, if you know you're just not getting the results you're looking for in your work, in your relationships, in your life, wherever that area might be, this is absolutely that opportunity to step in. So there are limited spots for these events. Make sure you click on the link in the description of the podcast. You can also go to the website as well, theunbreakableman.com, and there you'll find the link to the landing page so you can sign up for this event. Our next event's coming up September 22nd through the 24th of 2023. If you're listening to this before that, by all means, sign up for that event. We will continue that event. It's so powerful. It's just such an opportunity for men to really break through anything that stops them. And just the results we've seen from the guys that have come through this event now has been amazing, and it'll continue to grow. And I'm really excited for it. And I know If you are listening and you're looking for something that's genuinely life-changing, you know this is absolutely it. So really excited to have you. Make sure to sign up. Quick note, when you do, I will get on a call with you, either myself or one of our trainers. We will have to go through a quick screen just to make sure you are the right fit. Any major medical issues or any of that stuff, we got to screen out. So just so you know, you will sign up and then we'll get on a phone call and then we'll get you going into the portal. Without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. What is up, beautiful humans? This is Dr. Dave Cahotis. I am on a mission to forge strong, heart-centered, and purpose-driven men. And this podcast is here to help you stop managing your problems and start breaking free of stress, limiting beliefs, and excuses that stop you from executing at your fullest potential, living with passion, and being the man you want to be. So let's go. Here are the 3 types of reactions. A couple things. Anytime you're going on a process of transformation, when I say transformation, let's just say you want to build a company and you want that company to break the 7-figure a year mark. I'm just going to use that as an example so that you have a general context for what we're doing. It is vitally important that you have an objective in mind. And when I say objective, I mean purely objective. Be as objective as possible, because when you do, you're going to recognize that you are going on a path to create something of meaning to you. It has to be something that is of desire. When I say desire, I mean it has to be on your heart. Don't do something that you think somebody else will want. Do something for yourself. Do something that you want to create in this world. Why that's important is because if it's not of your truest heart, if it's not your heart's calling, you're just going to fail. You're just not going to get there. Here's the thing. You're going to recognize in life when you are living in what I call boyhood psychology, you are going to be looking for approval-seeking opportunities, meaning you're going to do things to get approval from other people rather than actually identifying and creating a life that you love. So if you want to create a life that you love, do the things that you love. Don't stop yourself from going out there and starting that new company. Maybe you are a police officer and you want to start a t-shirt company. Do that. Go do that. Maybe you want to be an actor. Maybe you want to be a surf coach. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, you need to honor that. You need to do that. This is actually very important because when you are aware of this, then you can start moving in that direction. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and you will hear me say this a lot. If you had that $1 million business today, but you didn't feel any better than you already do, would you actually want it? I'm going to pause. And the answer to that question is always no. I love asking that question because it puts something into very important context. When you are going towards an outcome in life, you are going to recognize that you don't actually want the thing. You want the way the thing will make you feel. I'm going to say that again. You don't actually want the thing. You want the way that thing will make you feel. When you understand that, you recognize that the game is not actually one of objectives, what we call the physical reality. It's one of subjectives. It's one of the internal world. As a man, and what I like to say as a king on this land, you are in command of 3 things. This is it. You are in command of 3 things: your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. When you understand that, you can start taking command of those things. You have to take responsibility. Why this conversation is so vital is that if you don't take responsibility, meaning the ability to respond, you're just not going to get the results you're looking for in your world, in your life. You're not going to be able to build that company. You're not going to do the things that you want to do. You must move from reaction or old patterns, reactionary patterns. Let me talk on patterns here in a second, into a more responsible self. When I say responsible, I mean response-able, the ability to respond. What that means is a stimulus such as, let's say a tax bill comes and your old self, your old patterns would freak out. And I'll speak from experience here. Your old self would be like, oh shit, that's a big number. I got to pay that? Holy crap. Your old self would react And then you would go into one of these three forms of reaction, which I'll unpack each one of them. Why this is important is that you have to be aware of these three forms of reaction in order to go from reactive, meaning your old reenactment way of patterning, your old thoughts, your old feelings, and your old actions that frankly were unconscious, that you were not in command of. You didn't even realize it, like old programming, old software in a computer, so that you can move into a new form of response so that you can truly be sovereign from the external world. What I mean by that is that you are in true command. You're in true power of yourself. No one else or no other thing has the power to make you feel any certain way. I'm going to say that again. No situation or circumstance has the power to make you feel a certain way. Why that's important is that when you realize that, you now know that you are in command of your own world. If you want to be a commander of your life, if you want to be a king, you have to take command of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. You have to take responsibility. You have to be the one to realize, oh shit, I'm responsible for the way I think, feel, and act. No matter what happens, if somebody says something to you in life, in a grocery store, if you are watching a TV show, if a president says something, if a certain president gets elected, whatever that thing is, they are taking your power away when you are giving your power to them by making yourself feel a certain way. So if you want your own power, if you want to be in your power, you must take back the power of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. So what's the first step of that? It's recognizing where you reenact old ways, reenact old patterns. A quick caveat. From age 0 to 7, we are programmed. Essentially, we are in a delta wave state. Delta wave is, and delta and alpha, I should say, for lack of better words, the rational center of our brain is not fully developed. And in fact, we don't fully develop the rational center of our brain until we're age 25. Now, why that's important is when we're age 0 to 7, we, as humans, are essentially being manipulated by the world around us. We don't even realize it. Here's a really funny thing that kind of resonated with me recently. I was watching the news and people were freaking out, and it was like, I kind of watch things as they are. Not as I think they are, but as they are. People just going through their life, and there was one side of this camp that was freaking out about children, the other side of this camp that was like freaking out about children, how we need to be raising them and all these things. And at the end of the day, no matter what side of the aisle you are on politically or in your personal views or in your religious views, you're going to be manipulating children no matter what, because children have no prefrontal cortex. They have no rational center to recognize that what we're teaching them is right or wrong. It just isness. Now it's up to them as adults to then unpack all of that form of manipulation. No matter what, you are going to be manipulating your child. Whether you are manipulating them to grow organic food and live on a homestead and be one with the earth, or you are going to program them to carry guns, or you are going to program them that they can be whatever gender they want. It literally doesn't matter. You are manipulating them without a shadow of a doubt. I recognize that for my own children. I was like, oh, yes, we are all doing that. And we were all manipulated. That's just part of the nature of reality. It's part of living. We have no rational centers in our brains, so therefore we come on as these pure divine beings that are moldable clay. That's what happens. As children from age 0 to 7, we emotionalize and internalize events such as our ice cream fell off, and we think, oh, I can never have what I want. And so then we emotionalize that. Or a better example of that would be you ask your father or your mother for ice cream, and then maybe they're having a really bad day, and they say, what do you think? I'm made of money? And then you emotionalize and internalize that you can't ask for the things you want, and you add on top of that, asking is bad because you are taking from your parents. That's the way these programs happen, these manipulations. It's just part of the gig. It's part of living. Now, the way they show up in life is that when you are moving towards something you want, you will experience forms of trigger. When I say trigger, I mean uncomfortable situations. You will feel uneasy. You will feel like there is a lot of rattling going on inside of your body, and you are genuinely uncomfortable underneath the surface. A lot of people consider this depression, anxiety, nervousness, or whatever. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. You're just going to feel uneasiness. When you feel uneasy, you want to move away from that pain. And so therefore, instead of breaking through, you allow yourself to dissociate from it. And you might use that in the form of porn or alcohol or food or social media or gambling or going out with your buddies. Doesn't matter what it is. You're still dissociating from the emotional baggage or wound or pain because you're not getting the result you want. Now, it took me many years to figure this out for myself because I kept just using one little thing. Oftentimes, an addict will stop the addiction of maybe alcohol, but then they'll pick up a vape pen or they'll just pick up social media as their addiction or whatever that thing is. At the end of the day, it's up to you to go deeper within yourself to feel the emotional pain so you can break through. Now, this is always easier said than done. I want to give you credit here and understand something. Doing deep emotional work is not always easy by yourself. This is why the programs that we offer are so powerful, because having a group of men or an empathetic witness, I don't even like to use the word empathetic there, a compassionate witness to witness you in your humanity actually gives you the healing that you're looking for. We are, at the end of the day, social beings. And so when we are witnessed in our humanity, in our primal nature, by being who we are intensely healed psychologically. And it's a very, very, very healing element to the process that we do actually at the Unbreakable Man experience. That was a quick side note. All right, so let's dive into the 3 types of reactions. There are 3 types of reactions that you will notice within yourself. These 3 are the 3 R's. Number 1 is rumination. I'm going to just say them all and then we're going to unpack them. Number 1 is rumination, thinking, overthinking, being in your head, right? Number 2 is rage. You can imagine, obviously, what that looks like. And number 3 is run. These 3 types of reactions are, at the end of the day, they are all trauma responses. Every single one of those is a trauma response. Here's the thing with trauma. I don't like to glorify it. A lot of people are glorifying it right now as, oh, everybody's got trauma. And the answer is absolutely, everybody's got trauma. There are micro traumas and there are macro traumas. A micro trauma would be you ask for that ice cream, as an example, and you got scolded, and therefore you feel that you can't ask for what you want, or maybe what you want isn't going to come to you because you emotionalize and internalize. So therefore, when you get close to maybe opening up your own business, you might ruminate. You might really overthink things, like because you feel that you can't have what you want. So you'll ruminate and you'll think about things, and you'll go back to the plan, you'll go back to the drawing board, you'll keep creating new ideas, when in reality, you just need to start opening yourself up and start asking. I will raise my hand and say that's my form of rumination. It's amazing. As I speak and teach, I am also teaching myself. This is really important because when you recognize your pattern, then you are equipped with the first step rather, you are equipped with the wherewithal, the awareness to break through it. So if you understand your patterns, then you can break through them. So rumination being one of being in your head, you overthink everything. This is very common for the analytical male. This is incredibly common for the type of man that wants something and he just overthinks it. Maybe he wants to ask that girl out and then he overthinks, well, how do I look? What's the best dating advice, or what's the best pickup lines, or whatever it is. And it is important, yes, to have skill set. There's a big difference between having skill set and rumination. Having skill set is that you're actively learning a new skill, like such as guitar, right? Like you're actively learning the guitar. Rumination is overthinking, how is this concert going to go? Because you know you want to play a concert and that's what you feel called to. Well, what is this going to look like? And where am I going to host it and do this? Like, rumination is really overthinking all the details of something and not actually achieving it. When in reality, all you need to do is just put yourself out there, break through your own fear, break through your own uncomfortable feelings, your discomfort rather, and allowing yourself to be seen. That's the antidote, if you will, of rumination. Rumination is what I like to say, getting in your body and taking action. Do the thing that makes you feel fear. For instance, again, if it's stand-up comedy, maybe you want to be a speaker in life. You know you have an inspiring story. Rumination would look like you're going to overthink what is going to be in your TED Talk, as an example. You're overthinking it and you're writing it and you haven't even gotten a speaking gig yet. That is absolute rumination. When you're in your head, you're dead. I heard that from Tony Robbins one time. It's very powerful. When you are in your head, you're dead. The antidote to that is take action. Put yourself out there. If you want to be a speaker, go speak. Get in front of people. Go to Toastmasters. Go find a group of people that would resonate with your story. Learn the elements of speaking. Read a single book and follow the model of transformational speaking, which was a very good book, by the way. I highly recommend it. So when you do that, you will break through that discomfort, that comfort zone that you feel like, oh, well, if I put myself out there, then I'm going to be ridiculed or something's going to happen. It's not. No matter what, nobody else can make you think, feel, or act a certain way. When you give your power away to that, that is when you are powerless, really. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're worried about what people are going to say on your YouTube comments or whatever, but you really want to start a YouTube channel, you're going to give your power away. To be fair, comments and these things, they get me every once in a while. I get irritated by it. Then it's just an opportunity for me to take my power back. That's the one thing. I'm not going to discuss that in this lesson or this podcast, but just know that when you are stepping out into the world, you are going to hit walls. You're going to get results that just are not pleasing to you. And the ability to respond rather than react is far better than what you were doing prior. So, number 2, rage. The element of rage is so underrated. I want to just talk on rage really quick, especially for men. Men, it is believed that in society we must hide our rage, that our rage is bad, and that really on the other side of rage is discernment and assertiveness. Rage shows up when we feel threatened, especially as men, when we feel cornered, when we feel backed, right? Like backed into a corner, we got nowhere else to go. We oftentimes use rage. Generally, rage will show up, again, when someone keeps poking at you, poking a stick, or poking a bear with a stick. Rage comes out. When you are experiencing rage, it is important to recognize that rage is there. Obviously, you know what that feels like. You can express your rage towards someone, but there's generally a fallout. I want to just caveat that. I think the idea of rage is so underrated. I encourage you, when you are experiencing rage, to step outside of the container that you're in. Let's say you're talking with your boss, or you're talking with your coworker, or you're talking with your wife. I encourage you to step outside of that container and allow yourself to express that rage in a healthy way, in a way that isn't expressed towards anything of value or any human. Because again, that's where a lot of times people freak out about rage, like, oh, you can't get angry, especially in a work environment. I do encourage you to step out and just blast off, go out, for a walk, whatever it is. My favorite form of rage expression is through exercise. I love lifting heavy weights. I love just getting after it. The other form that I actually also love is, and this also works for rumination, is cold ass water. Just getting into that cold water, you will find will completely change your life. When you are enraged and you get into cold water, you can't run. Like, you cannot hide. It's right there. And I just, you get underneath that water and you scream. It's very powerful. I highly recommend it. So when you're in rage, you will know, obviously you'll start to see red. I encourage you to take a breath, step outside, go somewhere else, and then express that rage. So don't hold it in, don't run away from it, but allow yourself to express it when it's present. The other thing with rage, and this is, I don't know why this is being taught right now, when you are looking to try to elicit rage by yourself, it's silly. It's like you're not actually pissed off, and it's not going to be that effective. So that's one of those things with a lot of rage practices. I'm a big fan of rage practices, but it is kind of silly if you're not truly enraged, because when the trigger is present, that's the opportunity for transformation. Let's say that one more time. When the trigger is present, that's the opportunity for transformation. It's in that moment that it's right there in your face, and you can break through it. You can step through it. You can move forward rather than run away from it, which leads me to our third one, which is run. It is incredibly common for men to run from hard conversations. This is the one that I find most common for men, is those hard conversations that they know they need to have, especially with their wife or their boss or their coworker. Really what it does, you feel like you're going to run. What's happening is that you need to face the facts. That also includes the antidote to running. Facing the facts can be hard. And what I mean by facing the facts, I'll just raise my hand here and say this is what happened to me a few years ago when I just was not making enough in my business and things were falling apart. And my wife would bring this forward. I would get really enraged, and then I would run. That would be my pattern. And then I would go back. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to go, I'm going to make this happen. And then I would overthink, get in my head. I would ruminate, and I would just keep that cycle, and I wouldn't get results. When in reality, all I needed to do was just go out there and make more money. It's simple. Thinking about where I am now versus where I was is totally different. When you are running, you need to genuinely tell the truth. Face the facts. Genuinely face the facts. What is actually happening? This is the one that's typically the part of you that actually is the opportunity for greatest growth, because when you tell the truth, you can do something about the emotions of it. But you have to tell the truth. You have got to genuinely tell the truth about, are you looking at other women online that is not your wife? Are you not making enough money? Are you overeating? Tell the fucking truth. If you cannot tell the truth, you're not going to be able to move forward. It's really hard to tell the truth because we want to lie to ourselves so that we don't experience the sensation of shame or guilt. But we have got to get used to that sensation. If you cannot get used to your own shame, then you're not going to be able to move forward. You're not going to be able to get the results you're looking for. You must tell the truth. If you're drinking too much, tell the truth. You have got to tell the truth. Generally, underneath that is a deeper truth. That's where getting in a group of other men and breaking and uncovering and breaking through what you are really not saying is really there. That's a deeper truth. But in the forefront, you must tell the truth. If you're not making enough money, tell the truth, man. There are ways to make more money. Now, underneath all that is the shame of providership, or you want to create more, but you're not doing it, and you feel guilty and shame and all that stuff. Bro, just tell the truth and then deal with the emotions underneath that. For context, in this conversation, we're not going to do that, but just know that that's the next step. The next step is to bring that forward into a container where you can unpack, why are you experiencing this? What pattern is inside of you? What's stopping you from moving forward? For sake of ease, this conversation is the first step, which is understand your reactions. There's 3 types. When do you overthink? When do you get angry? And when do you run? Now, when you do, ask yourself these questions. Why am I overthinking? What am I afraid of? Why am I angry? What am I actually afraid of underneath that? What am I running from? What part of me needs to be seen? What am I actually afraid of? So underneath all that is a sense that you are not enough. You are not good enough, that you are not wanted, that you are not loved, that you are not safe, that you are not secure. There is something underneath that is really coming to the surface. And until you announce that to yourself and recognize that there are these 3 forms of reaction, until you do that, you're going to keep getting those old same results. So again, I say this, I'd say it over and over again. The only way out is through. One more time. The only way out of your situation, of your pain, is through the pain. You have to be willing to feel your own emotions. A lot of men run from that idea, and they're like, oh, I don't feel emotions. You better fucking believe that you feel emotions. Every goddamn man feels emotions, and we need to stop putting this idea of being emotional or experiencing emotions in the camp of women. I have seen far too many transformations in my programs when we just make it normal to experience emotions. You are an emotional human. All humans experience emotion. Everyone does. Your limbic system, which is the emotional part of your brain, is not smaller than a woman's. It is not smaller. It's the exact same size. You just pretend like you're not emotional because you're afraid of being seen as weak. But this is important. And it's also important that you have a group of other men that are there to hold space, meaning that they can be compassionate witnesses to your expression of whatever that looks like. If you need to let go of some shit, let it go in front of other people. That's really, really important. That's why men need men. I will keep preaching that. Men need men. So we can all normalize the idea that emotions are a thing, a part of the human experience. And so, again, when you allow yourself to realize and recognize the ways in which you ruminate, the way in which you rage, and the way in which you run, you are now one step closer to breaking through. I want to end our conversation there. If you are having challenge in identifying these things, then sign up for the Brotherhood. Show up to the calls. We are talking about in the calls, generally, we don't talk about the emotional stuff. Every once in a while we will, but we're always there for your support. So if you do need support, we're there. You can also come to the 3-day event, the Unbreakable Man Experience. That is a tremendous breakthrough event. I will tell you that. You can't run because you're there. Well, you could try to run. Actually, I take that back. I'll tell this story on another podcast, but we did have one guy leave because it was so emotionally challenging. We got to that point and I was there. Listen, man, the gates are open. You can step through the proverbial gates, right? The emotional gates. And he was like, I can't do this. And so he left. I was like, all right, man, I'll see you later. Try to have that conversation. It's a deep conversation, but it's important. It's important to note. Stepping through the veil of your own fear that you are weak is the most powerful thing you can do on this planet. Recognizing that you are a whole man by breaking through all the reasons that you feel unloved or unlovable or unwanted or not good enough or any of that bullshit. You are whole. You are a good human. You're a great human, but you just got to be willing to break through that. If you guys need any support, just go to theunbreakableman.com, find out one of our programs, sign up. We're always there. I love you guys. I will see y'all in the next podcast. I'm going to go rest my voice after yelling and screaming over the last 3 days. It was incredible. So again, if you want to sign up for that event, check it out. All right. We'll see you. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. If you found this episode valuable, then go ahead and leave a 5-star review explaining how this podcast has helped you so more people can find it. If you want to be a part of the Brotherhood, then click the link in the description below. You can also check out the Unbreakable Man Experience if you're ready to face a deeper challenge and change your life for the better in just 3 days. All right, guys. Thanks again for listening. I appreciate you. And as always, stay unbreakable.